What is up, college sports fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Coos, and I'm coming to you once again from the hills of wild and wonderful, almost heaven, West Virginia. This is Coos' Corner, and I'm serving you college sports content almost every day. If you like that, please hit the red subscribe button. Give me the thumbs up if you like this specific video. Please share this with your college sports loving friends, and check out the Coast to Coast CFB Network. Links are in the description box. Let's get on with the show. The topic for today is college football playoff expansion and why the ACC is opposing it. Jim Phillips gave a lot of reasons in his interview with the media on Friday, January the 14th. And his reasons are basically all the chaos going on in college football today, or college athletics today, with the transfer portal, NIL, the potential changing in the NCAA Constitution, the Austin case fallout. He also mentioned the athletic welfare, which is the health and safety of the student athletes, as well as how it would impact academics by having to play a couple more games and extend the season out. Phillips even said that he has basically surveyed all of his ACC schools, the presidents, ADs, and coaches, and he has overwhelming support to not expand at this time, citing the reasons I just mentioned, and has unanimous support from coaches in the ACC to not expand at this time. And we all know Dabo Swinney has come out in opposition to expansion in previous interviews. And Phillips also surveyed players for Clemson to get their opinions on playing extra games. We all know some of the players on Clemson's team have played in the college football playoff, and they've played up to 15 games in order to get there in the current format. And if they extend it to 12 teams, then the championship game, the teams that play in the championship game could play up to 17 games in a season. And the Clemson players apparently, when questioned, said they would not want to play more than 15 games. So that's a potential roadblock as well. And therefore, Jim Phillips says they don't want to expand at this time, but are not against expansion altogether. They just don't think now's the right time. Now, the other two potential reasons that I think behind the scenes could be reasons for Jim Phillips and the ACC to have this opinion, and many think the reason is because they are trying to force Notre Dame to become full-time members of the ACC in football. And by holding the playoffs at 4 teams, it will almost force Notre Dame to get in, because it's too hard for Notre Dame to get in the college football playoff as it stands today, because they don't have that conference championship game on the resume. Another reason that could be another potential reason for the ACC's opinion, maybe, just maybe, they're trying to stick it to the SEC for the SEC's power grab. And what they see as an SEC power grab, I don't think the alliance conferences are happy that they didn't have a seat at the table in the summer meetings. The subcommittee obviously included Greg Sankey from the SEC, Bob Bowlesby from the Big 12, the commissioner from the Mountain West, and Jack Swarbrick from Notre Dame. The alliance conferences, I don't think, are happy that they didn't have a seat at that table. So is this their way of sticking it to that subcommittee and or the SEC specifically? I don't know. Phillips was actually questioned on the Notre Dame issue. He vehemently denies it, that that's the reason. He says it has nothing to do with it. Now, my opinion on the issue, I actually agree with Mr. Phillips. I think he's doing this for the betterment of the sport. I think he feels like that's what's best for the sport at this time because of all the chaos. And let me tell you why I think that. Let's just imagine for a minute that the National Labor Relations Board does determine that college athletes can form a union. And let's say that once they form those unions, and then they decide to, if they expand the playoffs, those players could refuse to play in extra games if they don't want to do it. The union could strike and refuse to play the game. So that would open up an entire can of worms. A huge issue for the NCAA. And also, let's just say that the NCAA, when they reform their constitution, which, by the way, could happen as early as the week of January 17th when they meet, and could take effect as early as August 1st of 2022. Let's just say for a minute that the FBS completely changes the number of teams in it. Let's just imagine for a minute that the Power 5 separates from the NCAA, from the rest of NCAA, and we get 3 divisions now. Not only would we have the FBS and the FCS, but we could have the Power 5, the FBS, and then the FCS, or something similar. let's just imagine the college football playoff expands to 12 teams. And the group of 5 conference teams are at the table and get a spot or at least one spot. And then all of a sudden the NCAA decides that the Power 5 and the non-Power 5 are 2 separate divisions. Well, then all of a sudden they've got to go back to the table, renegotiate everything. And let's keep in mind that the people involved in this, it's not just the universities and the conferences. There are TV deals at stake. There are networks like ESPN, Fox, all these networks that could be involved in this. And there's billions of dollars on the line here. So they don't want to mess it up. They've got to get it right. So they don't want to expand the playoffs, get a format together, vote on it, make a decision, and then, oh, by the way, 6 months to a year later, the entire thing dies because of a new NCAA constitution. So I just think that maybe, even though I as a fan want the 12-team playoff, and I think it'd be more exciting, there'd be more teams in it, there'd be more teams with a shot at a national championship, including my own team, West Virginia, would have a much better chance of getting in with a 12-team playoff. I just think that maybe, just maybe, Jim Phillips is right in his reasoning. Maybe the ACC's onto something here. Maybe there are things coming down the pipe that will affect the sport that we don't know about. And these guys have their finger on the pulse of, and they do know about. They see it coming. Now, I have a lot of respect for West Virginia's president, E. Gordon Gee. E. Gordon Gee has come out in recent months against expansion as well, which is surprising considering Bob Bowles and the Big 12 are all for expansion. Gordon Gee so far is not. He's actually on the side of the ACC in that there are too many other things that they need to focus on right now besides playoff expansion. And if Gordon Gee feels that way, as much respect as I have for that man, he's one of the most well-respected college university presidents in the nation. And I think he probably has his finger on the pulse of everything as much as anybody. So if he feels that way, and if Jim Phillips from the ACC feel that way, then maybe there's something to it. Maybe patience is a virtue here. So I just think that there are so many things going on until they get some calmness, I'll say, in the sport. There's less chaos. You don't have so many players transferring. You don't have the NIL stuff running amok. Until they can wrap their arms around all of that stuff and get it under control, then how are they going to handle college football playoff expansion plus all that other stuff too? I just think it's maybe he's right. So I actually think that maybe Jim Phillips is onto something, and I never thought I'd feel that way. I've completely changed my opinion on this, but I think maybe patience is the best thing for us right now, and let's see what the sport could completely be different a year from now. So let's see what happens, and then let's make a decision on college football playoff expansion. Let me know in the description box what your opinion is. See you.